There's a moment in your life when everything you thought you knew shatters. Your identity crumbles. Your beliefs dissolve. The person you thought you were simply ceases to exist. Carl Jung called this the dark night of the soul, and that terrifying descent into the abyss where you lose everything, including yourself. But here's what almost no one tells you. What you see on the other side of that darkness changes everything. If you've survived your dark night, or you're in the depths of one right now, what I'm about to share will explain why you had to go through it, and what extraordinary gift awaits you on the other side. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why your breakdown was actually your breakthrough. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we explore the depths of psychology, philosophy, and the human journey toward becoming whole. Today we're diving into one of Carl Jung's most profound insights: the transformation that occurs after surviving the dark night of the soul. Now, before we go deeper, I want you to know something important. If you're currently in your dark night, this video is for you. And if you've already emerged from it, this will help you make sense of what you've been through. The dark night of the soul isn't just a poetic phrase. It's a psychological and spiritual crisis that strips away everything false, everything superficial, everything you thought defined you. Jung understood that this terrifying process wasn't a mistake or a punishment. It was an initiation, a necessary death before a profound rebirth. So let's explore together. What happens after you survive? What do you finally see? And why does everything look different once you emerge? Part 1. Understanding the dark night. First, we need to understand what the dark night actually is. What is the dark night of the soul? The term dark night of the soul originally comes from the 16th century Spanish mystic Saint John of the Cross, but Jung, being the psychological archaeologist he was, recognized this pattern appearing throughout human history, across cultures, religions, and mythologies. In Jungian psychology, the dark night represents what he called the confrontation with the shadow, that moment when all the repressed, denied, and rejected parts of yourself come flooding to the surface. But it's more than that. The triggers. The dark night often arrives uninvited. After a major loss, the death of a loved one, the end of a relationship, the collapse of a dream you built your entire identity around, during existential crisis, when you suddenly question everything, your career, your relationships, your beliefs, the very meaning of your existence. Through trauma or illness, to events that shatter your illusion of control and force you to confront your fragility. Or sometimes, it arrives mysteriously, a deep depression or emptiness that settles in without any obvious cause. Many of you watching this know exactly what I'm talking about. That moment when you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize yourself. When your accomplishments felt hollow. When the life you built so carefully suddenly felt like a prison. The descent. Jung described this phase as the night sea journey, a descent into the unconscious, into the depths of your psyche where all the unintegrated parts of you live. During this time, your old identity dissolves. Your coping mechanisms stop working. Your persona, the mask you show the world, cracks beyond repair. You feel utterly alone even in a crowd. Nothing brings you joy or meaning. You question if you'll ever feel normal again. But here's the crucial insight Jung offered. This isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. The dark night is your psyche's way of forcing a transformation you've been avoiding. It's the death of the false self, making room for the authentic self to emerge. Why you can't skip it? Some people ask, can I just avoid this? Can't I prevent the dark night? Jung would say, you can postpone it. Repress it, medicate it, distract yourself from it. But you cannot ultimately avoid it. Why? Because the psyche demands wholeness. It will keep pushing you toward integration, toward becoming who you truly are, even if that journey takes you through hell first. The dark night is the psychological equivalent of the hero's journey. And every hero must descend into the underworld before they can return transformed. Part 2: The moment of surrender. So when does the dark night end? How do you know you're emerging? The turning point. There's a moment, and if you've been through this, you'll recognize it, where something shifts. It's not dramatic. There's no lightning bolt, no sudden enlightenment. Instead, there's a quiet surrender. Jung called this enantiodromia, the principle that everything eventually turns into its opposite. The deepest darkness contains the seed of light. Rock bottom becomes the foundation you build upon. The paradox of surrender. Here's the paradox. You emerge from the dark night not by fighting it, but by accepting it. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, what is this trying to teach me? You stop resisting the disintegration of your old self, and you become curious about who you might become. This surrender isn't weakness, it's the most courageous act possible. It's saying, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have the answers, and that's okay. The alchemical process. Jung, who studied alchemy extensively, saw parallels between the alchemical process and psychological transformation. Alchemy speaks of nigredo, the blackening, the putrefaction, the death of the old matter before it can be transmuted into gold. Your dark night is your nigredo, the death of the old you, the decomposition of everything false. And just as the alchemist can't rush the process, neither can you. The transformation happens in its own time at its own pace. But when you surrender to the process instead of fighting it, something miraculous begins to happen. Signs you're emerging. You might notice small moments of peace, brief windows where the crushing weight lifts, even just a little. Tiny curiosities returning. A sunset catches your eye. A song moves you. A conversation sparks something. Less identification with the pain. You begin to observe your suffering, rather than being completely consumed by it. Unexpected insights, sudden clarity about patterns, relationships, or truths you couldn't see before. A strange gratitude, as bizarre as it sounds. A part of you begins to appreciate what this darkness is revealing. These are the first whispers of dawn. The dark night hasn't ended yet, but you're beginning to emerge. Part 3. What you see afterward, the 7 revelations. Now we arrive at the heart of today's exploration. What do you see after you've survived your dark night of the soul? Jung spent decades studying people who'd gone through this transformation. And he identified specific perceptions, insights, and abilities that only emerge after this profound initiation. These aren't just philosophical ideas. These are actual changes in how you experience reality. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. Revelation 1. You see the illusion of the persona. Before your dark night, you probably identified strongly with your persona, the social mask you wear, the roles you play. Successful professional, good parent, loyal friend, the funny one, the reliable one. But after you've been stripped down to nothing, after you've lost all those identities, you see them for what they truly are. Costumes, not your core self. Jung said the persona is a complicated system of relations between individual consciousness and society, a kind of mask, designed on the one hand to make a definite impression upon others, and on the other, to conceal the true nature of the individual. After your dark night, you wear the persona more lightly. You can still play your roles, employee, partner, friend, but you're not trapped in them. You're no longer performing your life. You're living it. You see other people's personas too, not with judgment, but with compassion. You recognize when someone is performing, struggling to maintain an image, because you remember what that prison felt like. This doesn't make you cynical. It makes you authentic, and authentic people attract authentic connections. Revelation 2. You see your shadow and integrate it. Perhaps the most important revelation: you've met your shadow, and you've survived. The shadow in Jungian psychology is everything you've repressed, denied, or rejected about yourself. All the parts you deemed unacceptable: your anger, your selfishness, your desires, your darkness. Before the dark night, you projected these qualities onto others. I'm not angry, they're the problem. I'm not selfish, they are. But during the dark night, you came face to face with these disowned parts. And here's what you discovered: they didn't destroy you. In fact, integrating your shadow made you more whole, more real, more human. After surviving, you see that you contain multitudes. You're not just light, you're also shadow. Not just strong, and also vulnerable. Not just kind, also capable of selfishness. And this makes you dangerous in the best possible way. Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. You've embodied yours. You've brought it into consciousness. And now you have access to its power without being controlled by it. You're no longer naive about human nature, including your own. Revelation 3. You see the illusion of control. Western culture is obsessed with control. We're told, plan your life, manifest your destiny, control your outcomes. But the dark night taught you something profound. You control far less than you thought. You couldn't control what happened. You couldn't think your way out. You couldn't positive think your way through. You couldn't manifest your way past it. And in that powerlessness, you discovered something surprising: freedom. After surviving, you see that your need for control was actually your greatest source of suffering. The more you tried to control, the more anxiety you created. Now you've developed what Jung called synchronicity awareness, the ability to recognize meaningful coincidences, to work with life rather than against it, to trust the process even when you can't see the outcome. You plan, yes. You take action, absolutely. But you hold your plans lightly. You've learned to dance with uncertainty, and paradoxically, by releasing control, you become more effective, because you're no longer wasting energy fighting what is. Revelation 4. You see through spiritual bypassing. Here's a controversial one. After your dark night, you can spot spiritual bypassing a mile away. Spiritual bypassing, a term coined by psychologist John Wellwood, is using spiritual ideas and practices to avoid dealing with painful feelings, unresolved wounds, and developmental needs. Before your dark night, you might have been attracted to teachings that promised you could transcend your problems. Just raise your vibration. You create your reality. Everything happens for a reason. But your dark night taught you sometimes terrible things happen. Sometimes you can do everything right and still suffer. Sometimes the only way out is through. After surviving, you see that genuine spirituality doesn't bypass the darkness, it includes it. You're skeptical of teachers who've never been broken. Gurus who claim enlightenment means permanent bliss. Spiritual communities that suppress shadow and only allow positive vibes. You're drawn instead to what Jung called the wounded healer. Those who've been to hell and back, who carry their scars with wisdom, who understand that transformation requires descent. You've earned your spirituality the hard way, and it's real, not just aesthetic. Revelation 5, you see what actually matters. During your dark night, everything was stripped away, and in that stripping, you discovered what you could lose and what you couldn't. You could lose your career, you survived. You could lose your status, you survived. You could lose your old identity, you survived. But you couldn't lose your core essence. That remained buried beneath all the rubble. After emerging, you see life with brutal clarity. You know what matters and what doesn't. The opinions of strangers don't matter. The perfect Instagram life, illusion. Accumulating more possessions, empty. But authentic connection, essential. Creative expression, life-giving. Being true to yourself, non-negotiable. Time with people you love, sacred. You've developed what existential philosophers call being toward death, an awareness of mortality that makes every moment more precious, not less. You don't waste time on things that don't matter anymore, not because you're harsh, but because you know, deeply in your bones, how short life is and how much of it you wasted being someone you weren't. Revelation 6, you see the gold in the wound. This might be the most beautiful revelation of all. The Japanese art of kintsugi involves repairing broken pottery with gold, making the cracks part of the object's history and beauty rather than something to hide. After your dark night, you see your own life as kintsugi. Your wounds, your breaks, your failures, these aren't flaws to be hidden. They're where the gold is. They're what makes you beautiful, unique, human. Jung said, the gold is in the dark, and in all chaos there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. You've found the gold in your darkness, and now you can help others find theirs. Your empathy is deeper because you've suffered. Your wisdom is earned because you've been lost. Your compassion is real because you know what it's like to need it. You don't resent your dark night anymore. You might even thank it, because it gave you something you couldn't have gotten any other way. Yourself. Revelation 7, you see your purpose with clarity. Finally, perhaps most importantly, after your dark night, your purpose becomes clear. Not in the hustle culture, find your passion, monetize your purpose way, but in a deeper, more soulful way. Jung believed that each person has a unique destiny, what he called individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, integrating all parts of yourself, fulfilling your specific potential. Your dark night was actually your individuation crisis, your soul demanding that you stop living someone else's life and start living yours. After emerging, you see what you're here to do. Not necessarily your job or career, though it might include that, but your deeper purpose. For some, it's creating art that helps others feel less alone. For some, it's healing work, helping others through their own dark nights. For some, it's simply being authentically, courageously yourself, which gives others permission to do the same. You're no longer seeking purpose. You're living it, because you are it. Part 4. Living as the transformed self. So how do you live after this transformation? What does daily life look like when you've survived your dark night? The new normal. First, understand you don't go back to who you were before. That person is dead, and that's okay. You're someone new now. Someone who lives with greater authenticity. You say no when you mean no. You express your truth even when it's uncomfortable. You honor your needs without guilt. Holds paradox, you can be strong and vulnerable, spiritual and human, joyful and aware of suffering. You no longer need everything to be black or white. Practices deep presence. Having lost everything and survived, you know how to be fully here now, without constantly escaping into future or past. Creates from wholeness, your work, your relationships, your creative expression. They come from your integrated self, not from wounding or lack. The responsibility. But Jung also emphasized, with this transformation comes responsibility. You can't unknow what you now know. You can't unsee what you've seen. You have a choice. Use your transformation to serve your own growth and help others, or waste it returning to the same patterns that necessitated your dark night in the first place. Jung warned about people who complete the hero's journey, but then refuse the call to share the boon, to help others on their own journey. Don't be that person. Your dark night wasn't just for you. It prepared you to be a guide, a witness, a companion for others walking through their own darkness. The ongoing work, one more crucial point. Emerging from your dark night doesn't mean the work is done. Jung called individuation a lifelong process. You'll face new challenges, new shadows, new opportunities for growth, but you'll face them differently now, with more awareness, more compassion, more courage, because you know something most people don't. You can survive anything. You already have. If you're watching this and you're currently in your dark night, I want you to hear this. What you're going through is not a mistake. You're not broken. You're not being punished. You're being initiated. You're being transformed. You're becoming who you actually are. Beneath all the conditioning, expectations, and false identities. And I know it feels impossible right now. I know you can't see the light. I know you wonder if you'll ever feel normal again. But you will emerge, and when you do, you'll see things you can't even imagine right now. You'll have access to depths of wisdom, compassion, and authenticity that only come through this fire. Hold on, keep going. Trust the process. Even when it feels like the process is destroying you. Because it's not destroying you, it's revealing you. For those who've emerged, and if you've already survived your dark night, I want to acknowledge you. What you went through wasn't easy. The fact that you're here watching this means you made it through hell. Use what you learned. Share what you've become. The world needs people who've been to the depths and returned transformed. You're the wounded healers Jung spoke about. Own that role. Before we end, I want to leave you with one of Jung's most powerful quotes. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Your dark night made the darkness conscious, and in doing so you found your light. If this video resonated with you, do me a favor. First, leave a comment sharing where you are on this journey. Are you in your dark night? Have you emerged? What's one thing you've learned? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Second, if you found value here, share this video with someone who might need it. You might be helping someone feel less alone in their darkness. Third, subscribe and hit the notification bell because we're going deep into Jung's psychology, shadow work, and the journey of becoming whole. This is just the beginning. I'll leave you with this final thought from Jung. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Your dark night gave you that privilege. Use it well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your courage. And thank you for walking this path of transformation. See you in the next video.